Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing a 3-month review of my performance Tesla Model Y, so that conversation is coming up. So just to start, any Tesla is a really nice car to drive. I'm not even going to lie there. Some people don't consider them luxury cars, but I consider it like a luxury car. It's a really nice car. It's technologically advanced, and it's really nice that all the cars have basic AP, and there's cameras everywhere, and so those cameras can really help you in a sticky situation and even save your life because they can see things that you can't see before they actually come. So normally when I do reviews, I always do pros and cons. So I start with the cons, that way we can end on a good note. So with that said, the first con is range. And so EPA rated range for this car is 303 miles, and that is totally a lie, to be honest. Not a lot of people talk about this when we talk about Tesla. We always talk about, oh yeah, your EPA rated range is whatever, and it beats everybody else. But then in reality, in real world range, it's not very good at all, to be honest. This car kind of sucks, actually. And so an example is when we went down to Bakersfield, it was 255 miles each way, so we drove 500 miles that day, and I was just barely able to get 210 miles out of the car, and that was me babying it. I was driving pretty slow, and I was babying the the AC. And so, yeah, the range on this car is not actually that good. It just kind of looks like it on paper, and like I said, I think it's kind of well known that Tesla really kind of cheats on their EPA numbers, and basically it's in perfect conditions that nobody is ever going to get. So when you look at those numbers on the website, don't even think you're going to get that ever, because you're not. And so one thing I also noticed on that note too is the efficiency / the phantom drain. And so I don't know, maybe it's just the way I drive. I really don't drive really hard at all, but I can't keep this car under 300 watt hours a mile. It's impossible for me, and I drive really slow, to be honest. And so I know the efficiency is pretty good, but at the same time, it's not all that great. I'm kind of not really impressed with the efficiency. I want to see it a little bit better. Maybe it'd be nice if it was under 300, but I just can't keep it under 300. My total lifetime right now was 308. I've only driven the car 2,000 miles, but it's just, I can't keep it under 300, and it kind of bothers me, actually. So this one kind of is a pro and a con, and it's the staggered setup. So if you don't know what a staggered setup is, it basically just means that the rear wheels are wider than the front tires. And then what that means is basically you can't rotate tires, and that means that you're going to wear out your rear tires faster than your front tires, which means you need to spend more money on tires. And so I'm not a racer or anything, or I'm track racing all the time, or drag racing or whatever. So having a staggered setup for me is not really beneficial, and it basically just means it's going to cost me more money because I have to spend more money on tires more often. So on that note, it would have been nice if Tesla kept the tires all the same size as on the long range, but then at the same time, I do understand why they went with the staggered setup, and it's because it's for performance, and it's a lot better if you're racing to have bigger tires in the back, so you can take corners, you can come out of corners harder, and of course if you're going straight, you get more grip too. So this is one thing I noticed about the Model Y that doesn't happen on the Model 3. So on the Model 3, the doors have 3 click settings, if you will, and so on the Model Y, it only has 2. And so the first setting is fine, but then when you open it to that second one, if you try to open it in between, it just does not stay at that position. It'll basically automatically close the door all the way, and it's super annoying, especially when I'm carrying my baby in her baby carrier. Basically when I'm trying to put her in the car from the garage, I have to fight the door and get her into the car at the same time. So it's just super annoying that the door doesn't just stay where you open it to, and you either have to open it all the way up, which is basically you need a huge garage or a huge parking spot to be able to do that, or you have to fight the door as you're trying to put things in. This is another thing I noticed specifically on the Model Y that doesn't happen on the Model 3, is that maybe it's just since the car is newer, it has better tech or whatever, that the car locks a lot faster. So if I get out of the car and I'm literally standing a foot away from the car, but it's been 10 seconds, it'll lock on me. And so it's kind of annoying. If you have your phone, you can still open the door, but I'd rather just have the car stay open for a little bit longer so I can do what I need to do, and I can go inside or leave, and then it locks. So it's kind of annoying that it almost immediately locks when you start moving away from the car. And last con is price. And so this is kind of a big con right now because of inflation. So if you're to buy a Model Y Performance today, it's 70 grand, which is crazy for a crossover. You really shouldn't be spending that much money on a crossover. That's like in normal SUV territory, like 70 to 80 grand. And so there are other options out there. Like my dad just bought a Hyundai Ioniq 5, which is very comparable in a lot of areas, and it's much, much cheaper even with the markup. And so Tesla needs to kind of do something about that, because it's just crazy how expensive these cars are. And that kind of almost doesn't make it worth it, where basically if the Ioniq 5 had come out a little bit earlier, I actually might have, bought that car instead of Model Y. But it is what it is. It's still a very fun car to drive, and it has all the tech, and it has the supercharger network and all that stuff. So that's it for the cons. So let's go to the pros. So the first one is the Model Y is a slick looking car. Obviously it's a bigger Model 3, and I always liked the way the Model 3 looked. So the Model Y is really nice, and with the Performance you get all the little goodies. So you get the, the carbon fiber spoiler and the big rims and the red brake calipers. And so these little things that just kind of help you stand out, and just makes the car look a little bit more cooler than, your normal Model Y. And with any performance car, it's going to be fast. So the 0 to 60 at 3.5 seconds is always fun. And it's always fun to just romp it and get thrown back in your seat. And that can't be discounted. Like any crossover, it's going to be a little bit bigger than a sedan. And that's really useful for us because it's just, there's more room. And for us in particular is we have 2 dogs. And so we throw them in the hatch in the back, and it just gives us so much more room in the actual interior of the car to, house our baby and all that stuff. And it's more roomy and just nicer to have a little bit of a bigger car for the family. But on that same note, it's not too huge. So it's not a large SUV, it's a crossover. It's in between. So it's still easy and nimble to drive around. It doesn't take up too much space in the garage or if you're in a parking spot. So it is that nice in between. And obviously that's why crossovers are so popular, because it is that in between where it's not too big, but it's not too small either. It's only been 3 months, and so obviously I haven't had any problems, which is a good thing. We only have about 2,000 miles on the car. So, any new car, you shouldn't expect any problems, but just happy to report that I haven't had any problems with the car. Just get in and drive. And with any other 2022 Tesla, the tech is really good. Battery tech is always advancing, and it's really good on this car. And it's really nice to always have, well, at least for now, the latest tech that's out there. Not necessarily related straight to the Performance Model Y, but having a home charger at home is also a huge pro for any car, any EV that you have. And so in this case for the Model Y, it is super convenient because you plug in at night or plug in during the day because we have solar, and charge, and don't have to worry about fighting people at superchargers, and don't have to waste time at the gas station either. It's great that all Teslas now come with basic AP, which is super helpful, and so I do look forward to using that if we go on kind of a long road trip, where basically I can have the car actually help me drive, where instead of me having to actually physically drive the entire way with no help at all. Again, with a 3-month-old car, there's no maintenance, so I don't even use the windshield wiper fluid very often, and so basically that's always kind of a running joke. Oh, I have a whole lot of maintenance with my windshield wiper, fluid, so I haven't even had to do that yet. Basically, I haven't touched the car maintenance-wise since we bought it. Last pro with this car that I really like, which is a nice accent from Tesla, is that basically they made some upgrades to like the window buttons and things, where basically now it's matte instead of like that piano shine color. And basically what that does is it reduces fingerprints. So it's really nice to not have to look at all those fingerprints all the time. And basically you can just look at your nice matte, window buttons and not have to worry about being bothered by fingerprints. So that's my 3-month review of my Performance Tesla Model Y. It's a great car. Again, it's a crossover, which is really nice because it's in between the sedan and the large SUV, so it's not too big and not too small. Great family car. I would definitely recommend it if you're looking into a family car. And if you road trip, definitely go for Tesla because it does have the supercharger network, which makes it very easy to, travel without any issues. You don't have to worry about anything. So yeah, I would recommend this car. It's a great car, and thanks for watching.